Hello everyone, my name is Silfalon and welcome to Bedtime Stories Part 7. I'm sorry I couldn't wait for your questions, remarks or inputs, and I've actually forgotten the book right now for this episode. Anyway, but we have lots of stuff to see. I can't wait to see where this is going, so I want to see a little bit more of this world and what's going on. So there are a couple of people that are running around, which look fairly interesting. I'm not gonna talk. I try not to talk to everybody, but this is very much a reading simulator, so I will talk to a lot of people. So this guy here has a name. He's pretty short, so let's talk to him. Otero. Wind spins off the distant sea, sweeping between you and the boy, whistling up toward the peaks of Circus cliffs. He glances at you, then at the crowds in the plaza beyond. He appears to be looking for someone. Yeah, that's what I noticed, of course. Oh, I can use flex skill and hedge magic here. Interesting. One use per day. Interesting. Saw you wandering down in the reef, he says. Did you get to that star before the others did? He looks back at your face and grins. Guess not. That and a face that's found good pick. So there's still the question whether or not I'm going to answer in a way that I just honestly, truthfully say who I am. There was nothing to find down there. I was the falling star. A lot of people went looking for the star, did they? Dominant tides have shifted. Nah, not too many. Gotta be a carker to go down to the reef. That place is haunted. But despite his hard words, his eyes settle on yours, studying, deciding. His mouth settles into an irritated line. Look, he says, running a hand over his stubbled scalp. You hide it well, but I can't tell you're new here. I ain't trying to offend you, but I don't like leaving folk new to Circus on their own. If you have questions about the city or Circus Minor in particular, I'll answer them free of charge. Of course, it looks like you already have a guide, he says, nodding at Calistige. Calistige. Hello, dear, your companion says politely before turning to you. Otero knows this city better than almost anyone, and it's quite unlike him to give anything away for free, let alone his terribly valuable advice. Do take him up on his offer. Nice of you to say, Otero says, eyeing you. Well? Perception. His gaze flicks back to Calistige briefly as he expects her to lunge at any moment. Okay. So, we're in Circus Minor now. Yeah, the heart of the city, he says, folding his arms. The levies and politicians will tell you that Government Square is the center of Circus Cliffs, but they're not thinking right. He spreads his hands, framing the plaza. When folk come to Circus, they come here. They talk and trade, flirt and fight, tell stories. Everyone who comes here leaves different. His hands fall. Anyway, what do you want to know? Does anyone around here know how to fix complex machinery? He says, scanning the plaza. Prata, that's the bug lady in the market, is pretty good with machines. You might ask her for advice. He rubs the back of his neck. Otherwise, you'll want to visit the foreman in the underbelly. They might be able to fix it, if they can stop fighting long enough. Okay, so I talked to the bug lady before, to Prata. Didn't work out too well, so... What's happening on that stage? An execution, he says, rolling his eyes. It'll be going on for a few days yet. All those folks think they'll learn great truths from the nightmares of a dying man, he shakes his head. It's not worth my time, but it might be worth yours if you haven't seen one before. What are you doing here anyway? Just got back from Scrounge, she says. I'm here trading salvo for supplies before I set out again. Enjoying the sights, you know? His eyes sweep the crowds again. Perception. You can't help but notice that he doesn't seem to be enjoying himself. He looks downright unhappy, guilty even. Who are you looking for? He flinches, then glares at you. At first it seems like he's not going to answer. A girl I met a while back, he says at last, looking away. She was new in town, like you. I'm just wondering what happened to her, if she's okay. He swallows. Anyway, do you have other questions? I want to ask you about something else. Sure, I'm not going anywhere yet anyway. Where can I find a place to sleep around here? The cult of the changing god might let you sleep in their camp, or you can try Tranquillity's rest in Caravanserai. What can you tell me about this city? Depends what you want to know. I'm spent most of my time in Circus Minor, but there's other districts too. Government Square, Cliff's Edge, the Underbelly, and Caravanserai. This is a really weird word. He scratches his chin. There's also the Reef of Fallen Worlds, but you've already been down there. What is Cliff's Edge? A damn dangerous place to live, he says, laughing. Folks build their houses out on the ledge, over the sea, and everyone gets upset when one of them falls. I hear it's been getting worse lately. What's your feet up there? Tell me about the Reef of Fallen Worlds. Only carcass, slavers, bullies, and diggers desperate for scrounge go there, he coughs. And you, of course. He stares past you down the winding steps. Besides, folks think it's haunted by ghosts from the previous worlds, and I've seen enough down there to agree with them. But you don't need me telling you what it's like. You're lucky you didn't get robbed on your way back, or worse. Your eyes expectantly. Someone named Cora attacked me. He's dead now, so I don't think he'll make that mistake again. You killed Cora? He says, squinting. Not saying I don't believe you, but beneath the slime, it was a hard gallows glass as they come. Still, I ain't seen him since he went down those stairs looking for the star. He looks up at you, eyebrow raised, like you did. Believe it, child. They'll be fishing pieces of him out of the sea for weeks. Otero's nervous laugh falters when Calistige doesn't smile back. Okay, I want to know about Caravanserai. That's the port of Circus. Any ship that can fly lands there, makes their trades, and takes off for foreign lands. He turns a scornful eye toward the distant flags on a high crag. Plenty to see right here in Circus. Don't know why people insist on leaving. It can be pretty boring just to see one city. Can you tell me about the Underbelly? Imagine an underground place where the city sends everyone they don't like. Cannibal, cultists, mutants, carcass, and thugs. Now, add a stink like burning metal and cooking meat. That's the Underbelly. You mentioned Government Square? I did, he says, nodding. Bet you can guess what's up there. I want to ask about something else. Where's the Order of Truth?
Making a note.
In Government Square, from here, follow the path around to the left and look for the stairs going up. I'm looking for the Cult of the Changing God.
Making a note.
Well, you're not going to be able to miss them, he says, smirking. They're camped around that weird clock. On the other side of the square. He settles his hand on his hips. What do you want with those carcass anyway? They owe you something? Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Yes, I'm the Changing God. Should I say that? I'm the Changing God. No. People might you know, if it's true, then I probably have a lot to answer for. I just need him to ask them a few questions. Fair enough, he says, shrugging. Even cockers get it right sometimes. Okay, and do you live here? Not really. Walls are nice, but they keep you in one place. I like to move around, explore. You don't have a home? Don't need one, he says. I carry my life with me. He pats his bags. Okay, well, then, farewell. See you around. Okay, that was interesting. So this is... Let's see the map. The area map. This is Circus Minor. I love the map, by the way. It's well done, well done. Arms Merchant, Execution Ground, Prata. So you find the most interesting stuff. So here goes the Cliff's Edge. There's the Underbelly and the Government Square. They have a glowing orb. I really want to know what the glowing orb is. Steristy. Nearly every inch of this merchant's body is covered in tightly wound robes and furs. A hood obscures his head, and a mask conceals his face. It caresses a cracked ancient scroll with dark fingers. It notices you and gently taps its similarly dressed companion on the shoulder, leaving a smudge of fibrous ink. Falinda. Falinda recognized the thief at once, the creature says, crossing its sweated arms. Perhaps he imagined that by speaking with Steristy he would evade Falinda's notice. Unfortunately for him, nothing ever did. I watched Steristy work. The merchant's spread-fingered hands glide over a faded parchment with the faint sounds of quills scratching. Vibrant letters in an unfamiliar tongue appear in the wake. Why is your partner... watch him work some more. The merchant again passes a hand over the page, and you hear the scrape of quill on paper. Dark letters emerge from the shadow of that hand, as if pulled from beneath the page. Why is your partner narrating me? Steristy either ignores you or does not hear you. Why don't you talk? The merchant does not acknowledge your question in the slightest. I'll watch him some more. Nope, nothing happens. Okay, what if I talk to this one? Okay, same description. This doesn't stop you from noticing that it is apparently furious with you. Trembling, it bats at its similarly dressed companion. Both of them turn impassive masks back to you. Neither Falinda nor Steristy could believe it, but the thief had come back. He had come in shame, ready to return what he had taken. No, his hands were empty, his expression baffled. Falinda crosses his swaddled arms. Perhaps the thief had simply forgotten to return what he had borrowed, but this made him no less a thief. Are you narrating me? The thief said, trying to distract Falinda from the matter at hand, but the merchant would not be distracted. 10 years ago, this thief had borrowed a book. Falinda wondered if the scoundrel was possibly unfamiliar with the definition of the word. It did not mean taking a thing and keeping it, after all. Steristy pointedly returns to work, ignoring you both. Falinda sighs, massaging its temples with gloved hands. But in the end, Falinda took a deep, deep breath, and asked the thief to simply return the sealed and long overdue book with 5-colored sigil on its cover. How can you possibly remember who borrowed a book from you 10 years ago? This kind of sounds like Raj from Big Bang. How can you possibly remember who borrowed a book from you 10 years ago? The cunning thief said, hoping to arouse doubt in Falinda's mind. But the hope was a foolish one. Falinda was memory in the same way that the thief was fatty tissue, fluids and chunks of calcium. The merchant crosses his arms. Falinda was out of patience. Was the thief going to return the book or not? Can't promise anything, but I'll look for it. Gold tide raised a tiny amount. The thief muttered, ashamed, but Valinda was satisfied, temporarily, and with that the merchant returns to its work as well. Why do you narrate everything I say? The thief said, but Valinda knew from the very long experience that there was no explaining it. The merchant kneels before a bookshelf and jams book after book into the remaining space. This frustrated Valinda. After all, the two merchants were creatures of words, bound in metal and cloth, but whenever Valinda tried to bend these same words into explanations and answers, they crumbled and fell apart. They could not fold themselves around the truth. The merchant slams the final book into place, and so Valinda said nothing. That's interesting. I mean, so basically, that person is talking like as if it's reading a book or writing a book. That's a very interesting way of storytelling. Okay, so we have that. We have an arms merchant. We can check whether or not we can find something better to wear. The arms merchant. The sign over the stall says, "The Arming Room, buy, sell, trade." Under the awning, a skinny man whose stooped shoulders and a concave chest is cleaning a filth-caked weapon of some kind. He salutes you with a greasy hand. "Done in a moment. Have a look around. If you need anything, let me know." I gotta think of a voice for merchants. Show me what you have for sale. So the arms merchant has tons of daggers. Dagger, a rapier. That would be interesting. I like this one. It's a light weapon. I want this. And I want to... An oddity to sell. Let's sell it. Yeah, let's sell more. So the arms merchant has shields. 1, 2, 3 shields. They're all the same, meant to be strapped on the arm. This simple wooden shield will offer some limited protection by absorbing incoming blows and projectiles. Gives you 10% evasion. I'm just gonna buy one. You, however... we can sell this one.
Good balance.
We also will sell... that's good. We will sell one buzzer. What's that? Light ranged weapon. No, that's a battle axe. Sorry. Interesting. Okay, we have a bit more equipment. The genocide. I think I talked to the genocide. Armors of widely different materials are arrayed neatly within the stall.
Go.
She actually looks boring, and they look interesting, and this one looks interesting. So let's talk to that thing. You inch closer to the lattice of energy that holds the creature, and as you lean in, the ugly glaive, with a sledgehammer slung over his shoulder, shouts at you. "Oi! No gawking for free! Hey, El Jinto, get gone! He glowers at you, hand reaching for the haft of his hammer until you step away from the cage. I'll be damned if I let someone steal from us. Okay. Pay. On it. Ooh. Holy cow. What are you doing?
Of course.
What is that thing? Kanadu. This large, bald, broad-shouldered man turns to face you. You freeze. It's not his dark cloak or his sledgehammer. It's that beneath his mustache and goatee, he is so ugly that he'd scare his own mother in a dark alley. He gives you an abrupt nod, and you get the distinct impression that here stands a man who enjoys the boredom of standing guard and the company of his own thoughts. Nothing to see here until you pally El Jinto, he says when it's clear that you aren't moving on. With that, he returns his gaze to the distant sea. What's that thing in the cage? A what? A Nycthemeron. Themeron. El Jinto will tell you about it, if that's what you want. How did you capture that thing? Long story, Kanadu drawls, then falls into silence. Apparently that wasn't an introduction, but an excuse. He sees you staring at. Ask El Jinto, he's the talker. I watch the beast. I'll go more into Eastern. How well? I'm looking for someone who can repair a device. He's already shaking his head before you finish speaking. We don't know anyone like that. We aren't from around here. Where do you and your partner come from? He exhales softly through his nose, giving you the distinct impression that you are making him work harder than he'd like. Lorik, a city in the beyond, packed with blood, mad braced giant razor cats, and dread. Lots of dread. His weighted gaze seeks the horizon. I don't miss it, but El Jinto does. If you want stories, he's the one to ask. Interesting. Just as an info, the Beyond is... Well, there is one sort of coastland, then there is the Beyond that's behind a mountain ridge from north to south. And in that Beyond, things are getting a little more crazy. And then there is I think, also the area behind the Beyond, which is further beyond. I'm not quite sure. So this is where things get really crazy. People are wilder, governments are not as established, and countries and so on, whatever. Well, yeah, farewell. So he doesn't want to talk. He has a name, but he doesn't want to talk. That's fine. El Jinto. In front of you is a wary traveler, whose grim visage is mostly obscured by a pointy head. Upon closer inspection, the lines of his face indicate that he has seen much and has many tales to tell. Hello there, friend. Do you want me to go Eastern? Yeah, I can go Eastern, he says. Here to see the Nycthemeron? My friend in the cage over there. Or are you just looking to spend a word or two? I have questions about your Nycthemeron. He's far from mine, friend, El Jinto says with a raspy chuckle, as you'll likely see if I get too close to his cage. He tips his head at you. Go on, ask your questions. Wait, you called the creature a he. Is it male? Could be female, or genderless, or many-gendered. Who can say? I have our friend imprisoned, and I feel better about that fact if I don't call him it. How did you capture the creature? With a highly experimental trap of my own design, some luck, and the unexpected falling of night. What do you plan on doing with the Nycthemeron when you're done showing it off? We'd like to release it and run as if every kind of demon in the world is after us. We're not trappers, see? We're explorers, and we're only in this to save up some coin for a journey across a long patch of ground. He rubs the back of his neck. Not that our motives make much difference to our guest. He'll want to boil our skins once we let him go, and I can't say I blame him. Okay, interesting. So, you captured him. He wants to eat you or bite you, of course. I mean, he's being captured. He has a mind on his own, and you're showing him off money, and then you will release him and run. Great. We don't want to kill it, right? Okay, what is it anyway? A biomechanical union of stubborn curiosity and frothing malice, he says. Who made them? No one can say, but they cannot be trusted or befriended. Cross their paths or thwart their incomprehensible whims, and they'll kill you if they can. Okay. I want to ask about something else. Kanadu told me a little about your past. Do you have any interesting stories? Interesting. Well, I'll let you be the arbiter of that, friend. What would you like to hear about? Kanadu says you came from a place called Lauric. Ah, he says with a gentle sigh. My former and future home. Kanadu and I were born in the grey outskirts of the city. I'd like to say we were childhood friends, but we weren't. We simply came to know each other through what we lost. El Jinto takes a breath. The priests of the million gods of Lauric wandered the streets seeking sacrifices, you see, and opposing them is a sin. In our first 10 years, they claimed our parents, then our friends, and then one day, a pockmarked priest came for me. He hauled me up with the glass-paved streets. I wept and screamed, but the faithful and the fearful turned away. I almost lost hope when I heard the hammer scraping on the glass. Up charged Kanadu, bearing his father's sledgehammer. With a shout, he dashed the priest's brains from his skull, and we ran. He shuts his eyes, smiling. We have been running ever since, but we will return one day, I think, armed for the occasion. What happened after you escaped from Lauric? Years of struggle, he says, his expression darkening. Years without measure. After Lauric, we lived from meal to meal, eating only what we could steal. Kanadu grew into his strength, and I grew but less obviously. I began studying, you see. I read ancient texts about my lost home, and the sickness that possesses it to this day. I thought about how I could cure it, he says, clenching his fist. So we began exploring ruins. We sold the broken relics we found for food and equipment, kept the interesting ones for future study. To tell you all of the adventures we had in those days would take almost many years as I have been alive, if not more. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you have not traveled far into the depths of the beyond. Some of the ruins there lie outside time, and we saw. He swallows and reclaims the thread of sauce. We searched countless places for the components I needed for my trap, yes. The one our guest is contained in, and we headed east into the Clock of Kala. What's the Clock of Kala? A ring of mountains between here and the beyond. A land of glorious and lethal wonders. I'm looking forward to going through it again. We easily spent a decade searching the base of the peaks for the final parts of the trap, he says. At last we heard a rumor. A horde of ghosts occasionally stamped through the lanes of Agurkala, bearing relics and smearing heredity in their wake. This last detail was what interested me, he says, raising a finger. I created a device, a bell of sorts, that would attract the ghost's attention, and when they came, there stood Kanadu, hammer ready. The bell drew them, you see, but it also made them more real. Kanadu waded into ghosts, tracking them down. The rest fled, but we had found the materials I needed for the trap. The trap I'll use to capture a god. The white smile spreads over his face. Beneath Lauric lies a being who demands the sacrifice of mothers, fathers, and children. Once we free our guest here we will return home with this trap. We use it to kidnap a god or die trying. He takes a deep breath. Thank you for taking an interest in an old man's stories, he says. I'd like to return the favor. Normally we charge quite a bit for visits to the niche Themeron's cage. You, my friend, can see it for free. He gives Kanadu a complicated whistle. The big man raises his eyebrows, rolls his eyes, and nods. Thanks! Just taking a little bit of time reading this, and it's actually kind of fun on the tongue. To be honest. Going whole Eastern. Well, I'm looking for someone who can repair a complicated device. It must be in desperate shape if you're patrolling the circus, talking to strangers, he says. Do you have a piece of the device? Might be that I can offer my opinion. Perception. The man's face carries the impenetrable nonchalance of a lifelong gambler, but even so you spot a hint of curiosity, hunger, even deep in his glittering eyes. Can you come look at the device? Canada would never forgive me if I left him alone. He might end up having to talk to someone. When that happens, he's in a mood for days. He rubs the back of his hand across his mouth. I take it that it means you don't have it on you? No. Can't help you fix something I've never seen, sorry, friend. Okay. Farewell. Okay, we don't have anything in our inventory, but we can change that, and I'm gonna save this. Bedtime Stories, Part 7 End. Thank you for listening, friends. Thank you for everyone at home. This has been quite fun of the reading simulator, and I promise we'll get somewhere eventually. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, leave me anything. Show me that you want me to continue. I really want to. I love the story and I find it really interesting what kind of characters to see and to check out this crazy world. Alright, have a good day. Bye bye.